What it do, people? So today we're gonna jump right into the topic of fibroids. What are fibroids? Fibroids basically are benign tumors that grow inside of the uterus. So uterine fibroids are specifically what I'm talking about today. And I had them. And had, meaning they were there. I got surgery, but we'll get into all of that later. See, most of you are here either because you just found out you have fibroids, you're just researching it because someone you know and love has them, or you're trying to discover options. Should you get surgery? Should you go holistic? Should you just live with them? And if you're anything like me, well, as soon as I found out I had blah, 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 as soon as I found out I had fibroids, one of the first things that I did was go online, do some research, go on YouTube, look up some videos, just to get more information on this thing or these things that I had growing inside of me, as well as just to find out other people's experience. So I found out that I had fibroids in, I believe it was 2017 or 2018, early 2018 or late 2017. And it was actually a surprise, but at the same time it wasn't. So let me give you some backstory. When I hit about, I'll say like 23, I started to kind of notice changes in my body. Nothing like major, you know, just things that I figured were attributed to me getting older. But then as I hit like 30 and my late 20s, I really started to have heavy periods. And now for those of you who may or may not know, one of the symptoms of fibroids is heavy periods. And so for me, I didn't have heavy periods from the time I started my period growing up into my teenage years, my early adult. I did not have heavy cycles. They were probably about 2.5 days. And I did not have cramps. That's another thing. I was not experiencing cramps. Like, I experienced something, but it really wasn't anything major. It was just a feeling that I knew I was on my period, but no, what do they call them? Debilitating cramps? None of that. So as I started to get older and closer to 30, I started to have heavier cycles, heavier periods. And then I also started to experience cramps. And I mean like cramps, okay? Drastically different than what I was used to. And these are things that I just really thought, I've gained weight. You know, I put on a lot of weight since I've been older. I'm getting older. These are all symptoms of that. And another thing that I was experiencing a lot was really bad gas. And I don't mean gas like passing gas, but just like in the middle of the night, I would be asleep and I would feel this pain, gas, kind of like cramps in the middle of the night, and I would wake up, but it would only be in the middle of the night that I would experience that. So I started to go to the doctor because I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. This isn't really normal. So I think it was one of my regular checkups, or it could have been just after waking up in the middle of the night one time and being bothered, that I went to the doctor, and I was told that I probably had irritable bowel syndrome. So the doctor gave me a pamphlet, told me what foods to avoid to help eliminate the gas, and that was pretty much it. So I went home thinking, okay, I have irritable bowel syndrome. Another thing that I noticed is when I would lay on my back, like if I was laying in the bed, talking on the phone or something on my back, and I'm like rubbing on my stomach, you know, and I noticed that like under my belly button, that area, like, you know, like if you get waxed, you know, the landing strip area, that was a little firmer, okay? I did notice that, but I really didn't think much of it. I thought it was bloating. Again, I'm getting older, I've gained weight. There are logical explanations for this. Plus, I had gone to the doctor. It was irritable bowel syndrome, according to the doctor. So after that and having these changes, one of my sorority sisters posted her experience on Facebook. She had found out, I think she went to the doctor one day in pain and just found out she had a grapefruit-sized cyst on her ovaries and had to have an emergency surgery. And so when she told her story, one of the things that she said was she really encouraged women to pay attention to their bodies, and that a lot of things that we attribute to just age and gaining weight and getting older really are underlying symptoms of other things. So she really said too, you know, push that your doctors give you ultrasounds, even if, you know, they may not want to, but you just tell them that that's what you want to have and you insist. And then I've even seen things online where it's like, if your doctor refuses to do something, you can always say, can you note that in my record that I asked you for this and you told me no? And then more than likely, I guess they'll do it. So when she said that, that was always in the back of my mind, like, okay, maybe these things I'm feeling isn't just age or isn't just me getting older. So I made a doctor's appointment maybe a few months after that. Again, I didn't feel like this was an urgent matter. It was just like, okay, noted. So I made a doctor's appointment. I went to the doctor and getting a pelvic exam. So you know when you go in and you get a, oh my gosh, how am I forgetting what that thing is called? Pap smear. When you get a pap smear, they also do a pelvic exam. And the pelvic exam part is when they put their fingers up in there and then they push down on your abdomen while their fingers is up in there. And when they're doing that, they're feeling your uterus. And so I went into this doctor's appointment with every intention to say,
I want you to order me an ultrasound because I think something is going on with my body. And last time I was here, the other doctor told me this, and I'm not accepting that.
Man, when that lady was doing that ultrasound, she was like, okay, you have fibroids. I was like, what? I mean, I didn't even get to the ultrasound part. She just said, yeah, you have fibroids. And I was like, how can you tell? And then she was like, well, your uterus is enlarged. And then she could feel like, I guess as she was feeling around on my abdomen, she could feel like the, kind of like the knots or the balls in different spaces. And I was like, really? And I'm not even gonna lie, when that lady said I had fibroids, I felt like I was gonna cry. Not that I thought fibroids was the worst thing in the world, but you're talking to someone who, like, I go to the doctor for checkups and physicals. Like, I have not had any health issues, anything like that. So for me to hear I had something was just like, ooh. And then I said, oh, well, can I get an ultrasound? I think I probably asked, or she told me at the same time. So she basically said, you're getting an ultrasound. I'm gonna schedule it. And I was just really surprised because that last doctor told me that I had IBS. See, you see I done changed to the abbreviation. But yeah, and the whole time it was fibroids. And not even just the whole time, but like, I found out in my research, of course, that fibroids are common amongst women, but even more common amongst Black women after a certain age. So I just felt like you have a Black woman coming into the doctor's office of a certain age talking about certain symptoms they're feeling. Even though I was describing the pain I was feeling as gas that's trapped and isn't being released, that's cramps. I was experiencing cramping. And so, and it could have been gas too, because I did hear sometimes when your fibroids are so big, like the air gets trapped and things like that. But anyway, I digress. And so I was just kind of bothered that I had went to this doctor, a male doctor at that, and that was his diagnosis, IBS. And the whole time I had fibroids. So got an ultrasound. After I got the ultrasound, went in, they did abdominal ultrasound as well as vaginal. If you get an ultrasound, make sure that you ask them to do a vaginal one and an abdominal. I don't think I had to ask for the both, but I have heard other people's experience where they go in and they just do the abdominal one, similar to like when you're pregnant and having a baby. But the vaginal one, obviously, they're getting in there. It's a little closer to the uterus. They gave me the images and I was told that I had many. I was never told exactly how many. They gave me a, what was it? An estimate size of like the bigger ones they could see. And that was pretty much it. I did have an MRI as well. And that confirmed like exactly how many, oh gosh, and how big how big they were. I'm gonna put a picture of that. I'm gonna put it somewhere, you know that people do. I'm gonna put a picture up of my uterus from the inside. First, I'm gonna show like a normal uterus, and then I'm gonna show my uterus full of fibroids. That sight, whew, it was a lot to see when you realize what's going on inside of you. So I went back to the doctor, because at the time my primary doctor was a male, the one who said I had IBS. And he basically said, okay, you have fibroids. So I'm assuming, do you have kids? He said no. And then, or I said no. And then he basically said, okay, well, your options are, you know, basically surgery, get them removed. I hear a lot of women say that when they go to the doctor that they're pretty much only given the option of hysterectomies. But thankfully that wasn't my experience. It was like, oh, you don't have kids, do you want kids? Well, yeah, you just need to get surgery. So that started my surgery path. So I switched my doctor. I found a black woman, OBGYN. She was great. She gave me some different types of surgery options, either open myomectomy, which is similar to a C-section where they cut you open and they take them out, or I forget the other one, laparoscopic, yeah, where they go in with the robots, couple of incisions, and then they like tear it up while they're in there, and then they pick up all the little pieces. And yeah, I was just kind of debating, and I ended up not doing surgery there at all. At the time I had Kaiser insurance, and a friend of the family lost their brother who was young at Kaiser, going to Kaiser with the health history, and Kaiser sent him home. It was a whole thing, and I said, you know what? If I do get surgery, I'm definitely not doing it with Kaiser, because they have a reputation for being called Killer Kaiser. And I know a number of people who have like sad stories of loved ones who could have lived but didn't under the care of that facility. But anywho, yeah, so I switched my medical insurance altogether. I did not plan to get surgery because it's surgery. Like, I don't want to be cut open. I had these dreams of, you know, when I have children, I want to have home births in the water. I don't want to take any meds. And I knew that if you have certain surgeries, you're recommended to get C-section. So, you know, it just wasn't in my plan. And so from the end of 2017, when I found out, up until 2020, when COVID hit, is when I decided to get surgery. I think it was just the stress of COVID, and as a teacher working from home, virtual learning, it was just so much. Like, I felt my fibroids, my uterus was getting bigger. I found out that my uterus was the size of like a 5-month pregnancy, and I had anemia. It's like, these are all things that already were the case, but it was just like, as time goes on and as stress was rising, I was like, I can't, something's got to give. And the world is in a pandemic. I have this, you know, issue, these pieces of these masses growing inside of me, and I was like, no, I have to get rid of them. So yeah, I decided to get surgery, and it was a very good decision. I'm glad I made the decision. I am 1 year, about a year and almost a month post-op, and I have no regrets whatsoever. I will be talking about that in another video, but I did just want to come on really quick and just give some backstory about the beginning of my journey, because the journey is still going. If you are experiencing things in your body, ladies, that you think, oh, this is just because I'm getting older, oh, this is just because I've gained weight, do not overlook those things. Make sure that you go to your doctors, check them out, insist that they check things like, are there things that are common for my age, my ethnicity? Do these symptoms possibly fall under the category of something else? Because misdiagnoses happens. I've heard of other women who have been told that they had something else when the whole time they had some type of reproductive issue. And the reality is these are not a part of our healthcare system as it pertains to our annual checkups. Even when I think about myself, I never missed those pap smear checkups. So if the fibroids are too small and my uterus has not started expanding, then of course, when they do those pelvic exams and stuff, they're not gonna find any, you know, abnormality. They're gonna think everything's fine. So it's like, who knows how long I had fibroids? They just weren't discovered until my uterus was a certain size, my iron levels were low, and yeah. So make sure you guys keep up with your health, make your health a priority, and again, advocate for yourselves, because we already know the discrepancies in the medical industry as it pertains to Black women and women of color. So advocate for yourself. Stay tuned or be on the lookout for part 2, which is my decision making process into going into surgery, what my surgery experience was like. I have pictures and gooky, okay, no, it's not that bad, but I do have pictures of the fibroids and things that were taken out. Again, stay tuned. Make sure that you follow, like, subscribe here on YouTube, on social media at Michaela Care, and yeah, that's it. See you guys soon. Until next time.